Alrighty, girls, thanks so much for joining me in this table discussion. It's great setup here at Ford Park, and I guess the main thing we want to sort of have a chat about is, coaches and female coaches, and I guess how we can get more women and girls involved in what we do and what we love. So I'm going to throw it open, and because Rosie, you're directly across from me, I'm going to sort of ask you about the only female coach in the YJFL.
Yeah.
How did that happen, and what's your journey to get here?
So I started umpiring in 2014 and then started doing the junior games and then went up from there. It was only last year that we've had such a growth in female umpires and stuff that the head coach called me up and was just like, are you interested? And I was like, think about it, because obviously there's a big commitment going to trainings every week and stuff. And then it started off as just being a mentor. So last season, the games we did have, I was a mentor to the first year umpires and stuff. So we'd go out and help out their games and stuff, and then went from that to being a coach, and now helping out the first year umpires develop their skills and make sure that they're having good ground management control, game control and everything like that.
I was a trainer at Brunswick Dragons for the under 12 girls when my daughter started playing, and the coach at the time realised that I'd played for a few years in my 20s and was really keen for me to move into some kind of coaching role for the team, just because there are obviously not a lot of females or mums associated with the junior club who had playing experience for obvious reasons. I was interested because I think, like everyone, once you start playing or being involved in footy, you become addicted to it and you love it. But it was probably just because, I had a lot of encouragement from the other coaches and from the club as a whole to actually take on the role that I actually felt confident enough to do it. I think that's probably been the most helpful thing to actually going into a coaching role. At first I said, okay, I'm interested, but I'm not confident to do it if I'm going to do it. I really want to do it properly. And so I said, how about if I'm just an assistant coach? And they said, what about being a co-coach, where you have a coach and assistant coach, but you're working together equally? And I've been so lucky that I've had a co-coach. We work really well together. He's grown up in Melbourne playing footy, got all those classic insights, really good understanding of the game. His daughter also plays in the team, and he's just been really good to work with in the sense giving me information that helps me do the coaching role, but not telling me how to do the coaching role. And I think that there's probably been a good opportunity there for some kind of program to be how to be a good co-coach.
Going into my 9th year of coaching, I actually started in basketball, coaching my sister's teams, and I really enjoyed that space there, going on to representative sides and really competing in the sport that I started off with. But understanding that I started football very late at 16, again, coming from that basketball background, and I just loved the culture. And whilst being in that basketball space, you see the opportunities growing as alongside the AFLW competition, and you go, I want to have a crack at it. Fortunate enough that some basketball contacts were actually affiliated with Beverly Hills Junior Football Club, and I was able to get my first full position there as the youth girls coach. I actually had a mentor in the basketball space who taught me at university, and she was talking about the 2 C's, one being competence and one being confidence. And typically with males, they have a big C in confidence and a little C in confidence. So they're the ones who are they see that 20%, they're going to apply for it. Whereas typically females, they have the big C in confidence, but they have a low C in confidence. And that really stuck with me. And I think it's why I've really taken the coaching gig head on, because it's something I'm very passionate about. In order to get to, fortunately with the roles that I have had and hopefully will continue to have, I have to put myself out there. Fortunately with Carlton, I am, very inexperienced in that. I still have a lot to learn about the game, and I'm grateful though that I have people that are backing me in my corner. And I think that's the most important part, is having that support on the field.
I guess a little bit about my journey and how I got here is I actually started playing footy when I was 6 years old. Played with my brother in the backyard and went down to my local football club. And they said, look, we'll take the boy but not the girl. And this was, a few years ago, probably before your time.
Yeah.
And then my mum said, oh, well, they're a pigeon pair, you've got to take both of them. Went to another football club and played my junior football with the Murrumbeena Junior Football Club until I was 14. got tapped on the shoulder and said, "Hey Pam, look, I'm really sorry you can't play footy anymore because you're a girl." And I was like, okay, well, you know, it is what it is. But then all of a sudden I go, well, that's not fair. Just because I'm a girl doesn't mean I can't be playing footy, right? Like, how dare you tell me something I can't do because I love it. And I think, you know, from that moment there that I just had a huge passion and drive to, you know, the equality across, you know, the landscape of not just football, but, you know, I didn't realise how important, you know, being able to be that voice or be the first one to step out into the light, I'll call it, and sort of, you know, bring everybody along with me. So went to court, got the law changed for girls to play football in a pathway program for girls who finished playing at under 14s and had a youth girls competition introduced. I was a little bit too old for that. I was 16, so I actually coached girls at my local football club. So they were 15 and I was 16. I was coaching, and then I remember one day we didn't have an umpire at the ground, so I actually umpired, coached, and then we didn't have enough players, so I started playing. So it was just I did with everything. So I was like, what do I like best? I played senior footy with St Kilda Sharks for quite some time, and then in 2017 when the AFLW came and got drafted to Collingwood. So when you talk about that first game, Carlton Collingwood, I was actually there playing, which was, you know, again a surreal thing, thinking that, you know, for a little tackle like me at 6 years old, thinking that footy was just something that I would do, then get told I can't do it. But now it's something that, you know, it's a choice that girls can now play. The one thing that we always need to fall back on is our love for the game. Personally, what is it that you really like love about your role and why you do it? Like, there's got to be, besides, you know, being out there and doing it so we can help support, but like, if we could take one thing away, like, what does it do to help you as a person in your role? What does it do to help you?
For me, it's definitely a massive sense of achievement, developing confidence, and that's something that you carry through with you to all facets of life. For me, being able to be in this coaching role, really, you know, showing to myself what I can achieve and that I've got something of value to offer. And you definitely get recognition from not the players alone, but, you know, the rest of the people involved in the club and the sport.
Like, giving back, I guess, like, it has actually really helped me with my own football. Like, you see the game so differently and stuff, and like, I'm on the field being like, why didn't he pay that, or he paid that wrong, or, and stuff like that. But it is really good just like being around all the other people as well, because like, I'm with, like, at training, kids from like 14 to like retired men and stuff, and it is such a wide range of people and stuff, and just really good like being around them all and stuff and meeting new people, like, you develop new connections and stuff. And then you can go out and walk down to your local football club and see someone that you've seen on the weekend and stuff, and you're just like, oh, they kicked 2 goals on the weekend, or they were like doing the barbecue and stuff around the club. So just connections and everything.
The challenge is in it for me. You can't get this sense of confusion and then clarity at the same time. I've had the lowest of lows and the highest of highs in the coaching space. It's what brings me back. I mean, I've always been passionate about education as a whole. Starting to be a teacher, I still put coaching first. It's my first and foremost, you know, goal in terms of the space in itself. You can be a friend, but also be a leader. You can get down to their level, but also be really formal in that sense. And you can really choose to create an environment and create it and make it your own. And, you know, as you were touching on before, you know, it's in the reports that, you know, females want to feel a part of something first before they can really show you what we've got.
Yeah, well, I think the challenge is one thing. For me, I don't know what it is, but I hate saying this, but I love the pressure. Like, you're there, you've got 2 hours of footy, and like, that is like be all and end all. You make all these decisions and it's got to be like that, and it could be the right one or it could be the wrong one. And I think, you know, being able to handle pressure situations, I think, is what's really kept me growing and learning and developing my own craft. But then also, how do other people and how I can support other people in these pressure situations, because a little bit different from my time when I was coaching community footy to coaching, you know, premiership VFLW. It's like a big difference. Like, one mistake here, you're like, okay, the game's lost, no more grand final. Or here, the one mistake here, you're kind of like, oh, it's right, we've got next week.
Yeah. So
I think for me, that challenge in working under pressure, or I guess I've had it pretty much all the way along, being in court cases and pioneering, but like the resilience that you build from those experiences, I think is something that we can continue to build in other aspects of our lives. And also, you know, we're not going to win every single game, so how do we coach and teach these girls and footballers? What are some of the biggest challenges, or a challenge that you guys have faced, I guess, stepping into the coaching world or during your coaching career so far? Have you guys had any big challenges?
One, I think for me, looking forward, is there's a lack of a coaching pathway. We talk about player performance pathways. Players know where they're going. You go from your clublands to NAB League, either getting drafted or there's a VFL or VFLW competition to go back to, or seniors. There is clarity in that process. For us as coaches, I've found, especially the higher I get, it becomes a little bit more ambiguous as to who gets what position, what do you need to work on, why do you need to do certain things. And I think for me, it's just knowing if there was a little bit more clarity around it, it'd probably be a little bit easier for female coaches to come in, especially those who want to pursue a career in it, or actually go further with just community football.
Why we don't have more females coaching, in our sport. If you could pan out a coaching pathway for yourself, what would that look like, and what support would you need to get to that sort of point?
I'd be probably referencing my own coaching pathway in that. Again, you start at your club levels, and then something as simple as the YFL's representative sides of their partnership as the YMA is a great next step. So you're talking about you're getting the best kids of the best, and you're coaching big squads, and you're actually playing against other leagues. It's good for you to challenge yourself because it raises the standard of the players. And then I'd be looking at NAB leagues, and that's where that was my next step with Oakley. I took a development coach role, which I got great exposure. I got to work under Luke O'Shaughnessy whilst he was there. And though it was a very short stint with COVID taking a lot of that experience, what have you done in those areas to kind of reinforce that, know that this is my level, and how did you come to that conclusion?
I think a lot of it is building confidence, knowing that I do make a difference, having evidence behind. Like for me, it was seeing, for instance, a girl that came into our program, worked through the program, coached under me, then getting drafted. That for me was a tick in the box going, okay, all right, I actually can coach here. And then going through, all right, so if this is a career that I want to make, what does that sort of look like, and how can I make it viable? But having that mentor to help me through that process to work out all the legal jargon, which is, definitely not my forte, but just understanding that if this is something that is what I want, then I need to work towards it, and having the confidence to go, you know what, no, this is what I think I'm worth. And if you don't think I'm worth that, then tell me why. And I think I'm worth this because I can do X, Y, and Z within, a program, but here's the evidence behind it. Yeah. This girl drafted, this girl moved on and then got drafted, this girl developed her ability to get fitter or faster, or worked in these leadership opportunities that then I've also implemented. Why do you think that it's important for, the top end age group go and coach the younger girls? Why do you think that would be important?
I think there's a few things that they all get out of it where it's valuable. So I think at under 15s level is a great age group where you can start really bringing in, honing that leadership and good decision making elements into the game itself. But also, keeping the club strong, especially over the last few years. There's been a drop-off in numbers of, I think, all kids playing, but girls in particular. With our under-15s team, we've been really lucky. They stayed really connected through the 2020 and the 2021 lockdowns. They continued to train online every week. When they could train actually in reality, they were really up for that. And that's been a constant for them. And I think at that age group, that's played a big impact. And I think they can see, that particular cohort of girls can see what a positive element of life it can be.
Why do you think it would be important for girls to coach, and why a female coach is really important for our industry?
Starts off with the comment, if you can't see it, then, how do we even know that it exists in a way? So females coaching females, it's great for, as we spoke about, the role modeling and the mentoring. What we see is that, well, for me personally, is I can relate to what they're feeling on the field. And I think it's why I've stuck with the female game, because it is different to the male game. And I love it because it is different. You've got different personalities, you've got different stereotypes in the way that they've grown up, and your aim is to try to help and guide them, saying, I've been in your position before, I can understand that you're going to be feeling this way, or people are going to be thinking this way about this, but I'm here to help guide you from my own personal experience sitting, where you are.
How can we get more female coaches into not just junior clubs or senior clubs or community clubs? Like, how do we get, or umpiring, how do we get more female coaches in? And then the other part of that question is, what should they know coming into a club?
Or I'm going to start it off with, there are transferable skills, right? Coaching, there's two aspects to coaching. There's the science of coaching, and then there's the art of coaching. And the art of coaching is literally who you are. It's you being able to connect with anyone else in that room and go, I'm able to communicate with you, I'm able to empathize with you, hey, great job, give them positive reinforcement. They're all the basics that we do in any relationship we have with our parents, with our friends, with our own teammates. So everyone already has that aspect. Whether you need to grow as a person a little bit more or not, we all do. You can always start with that side.
Yeah, and I think we talk about pathways, and we talk about support, and we talk about confidence. If there's clubs out there that are looking to try and get more females into, not just coaching aspects, but into their club, we want to have a sense of community, we want a sense of connection. It's about having those options, having information nights, or, putting it out in your social media. We've got opportunity to send coaches to Essendon to do a coaching course, or opportunity. We've got female coaching mentor coming down, and whatever it may be. I think that's one thing that coaches and clubs can really just sort of expand their horizons a bit more and just try and get more people involved in the club, because we say participation, volunteers, it's all sort of dropping off at the moment, but I have a feeling it's going to start to pick up again, and the expansion and the growth of the women's game itself and women's sport is just going to get bigger and better.
Yeah.
I really appreciate the opportunity to share our stories and have this sort of conversation as well, because it is about networking, building, experience and exposure for not just female coaches, but clubs and players and umpiring as well, because, it is the best sport in the world. And we need to continue to promote that, but then also we need to get ourselves involved, and we need to put ourselves out there. I'm going to say it again, we can't be what we can't see. So I really appreciate everyone taking time out of their day to have a chat with us. And I think, from here, anytime you guys ever want to have a chat, we're all here, to support each other. So I appreciate it.